Hello, thank you for your interest in the Sovant, the world's first intelligent supplemental oxygen delivery device. In this video series, we will walk you through the modes and functions of the Sovant so that you can feel confident using it to administer supplemental oxygen to your patients. We will start, assuming you have already reviewed the Sovant unboxing and connecting video, and that your Sovant is connected to oxygen, mounted, powered on, and has the smart prongs cannula plugged in. If you have not completed the steps outlined there, please go follow along with that video before proceeding. So let's get started. For this video, we'll focus on the basics while using the smart prongs cannula. First, find the capnography connector on the smart prongs cannula. Peel that tubing back as needed and connect that to your capnometer. Next, place the smart prongs cannula on yourself, looping the tubing around your ears and situating the prongs in your nostrils. You're probably already familiar with delivering oxygen continuously to your patients using a standard flowmeter. The Sovant functions the same way when in continuous flow mode. Go ahead and select the continuous button on the screen. Oxygen is delivered in a steady stream. If you ever want to get back to what you're most familiar with, you can always use continuous flow. The default flow rate when using the smart prongs is 2 liters a minute. You can set the flow rate by tapping or pressing and holding the up and down arrows above and below the flow rate indicator. Look at the plot in the top half of the Sovant screen. This is the new respiratory waveform. Take a few deep breaths and watch this waveform. The Sovant detects changes in pressure and shows you inhalation when the waveform drops below the baseline, and exhalation when the waveform moves above the baseline. This gives you a visual representation of your patient's respiration. The respiration waveform displays information from the last 15 or 30 seconds. Tap the plot to change between the two duration options. When in continuous mode, the horizontal green bar at the baseline represents oxygen being delivered. The thickness is proportional to your flow rate. You can see the thickness of the green bar here at 10 liters a minute. Now let's push it to 15 liters a minute, which is the maximum rate available when using the smart prongs cannula. And notice the thickness of the green bar. Now take a look at your capnography. The waveform is probably almost completely washed out by this high constant flow of oxygen, making it nearly useless. You're likely used to seeing a washed out CO2 waveform like this when you use a flow meter. At this high oxygen flow rate, you're probably feeling a little uncomfortable at this point. So let's try something new. Select synchronized flow mode. When in synchronized mode, the Sovant delivers oxygen only when the patient inhales and stops the flow of oxygen when the patient exhales. This makes oxygen delivery more comfortable as your patient is not breathing out against incoming oxygen, as well as reduces the drying of nasal passages, particularly at higher flow rates. It also reduces oxygen waste. The vast majority of oxygen administered is inhaled when using the Sovant in synchronized mode, and oxygen won't be delivered when a smart oxygen accessory is not connected to the Sovant. Now look at the respiratory waveform in synchronized mode. You'll see that with each inhalation, that waveform is filled in with green, showing exactly when oxygen is being delivered. If it only takes part of an inhalation to deliver all the prescribed oxygen, the Sovant stops oxygen flow, and the rest of that inhalation is shown in white. You'll see that each exhalation is shown in gray. And in the upper right corner, the Sovant also tells you the patient's respiratory rate. Notice the sound that comes with each inhalation? That is the sound of the Sovant delivering the prescribed bolus of oxygen. It corresponds with green inhalation area on the respiratory waveform. This gives you an audible indication of your patient's breathing. Look back at your capnograph now. Because no oxygen is delivered during exhalation, you get a pristine waveform and a valid end tidal CO2 reading, even at high flow rates like we're using now. So let's reduce that flow rate back to 2 liters a minute. To pause oxygen delivery, tap O2 standby on the main screen. While oxygen will not flow in this mode, you can still view the respiratory waveform. When you're ready to begin oxygen delivery again, select resume. Now you're familiar with using the Sovant in continuous and synchronized flow modes with the smart prongs cannula. To learn more, please watch the second video in this series, Sovant Basics, Scenarios, and Alarms.